backs against the wall. It seems impossible, but there's nobody else I want by my side to stand here with me to take this fight through the rise and fall. With our fearless hearts, we could beat the odds, and we could live for 1,000 years. We could be legends. If we all go down, if our time is now, we could let everyone know we were here. We could be legends.
We can live forever.
What's up guys, JNO here and welcome to the first in the Fantasy Football Fantasy Premier League series.
Our backs against the wall. It seems impossible, but there's nobody else I want by my side to stand here with me to take this fight through the rise and fall. With our fearless hearts, we could beat the odds, and we could live for 1,000 years. We could be legends. If we all go down, if our time is now, we could let everyone know we were here. We could be legends.
We can live forever.
What's up guys, how you all doing today? Finally, I'm back live. First of all, I want to know how everyone is doing in Fantasy Premier League. If you can hear my iPad in the background, it's just so I can make sure the volume is working alright. Also, I like to watch myself a little bit, so you know. But let me know in the chat if the volume isn't alright, but I should know in a second when my video stops playing. Yep, we're all good for audio, so we can silence that. So yeah, how's everyone doing in the FPL rankings overall? And also, how is everyone doing in the FPL Today League? I can tell you all I'm 199th. Yes, 199th. That isn't the exact record I was hoping to be saying in my first live stream for the Fantasy Premier League season. But you know, that's the cards I got handed after Game Week 2. I had a great start, 87 points in Game Week 1. And then somehow got 37 points in Game Week 2. Literally, I had 3 players score. I'm sure some of you have already seen the video. I only had Gabbiadini, Foster and Lukaku score me any points of significance. I'm hoping it won't be as bad at Game Week 3. But I'm still in the top million players. I'm 6,009, 600,009th, there or thereabouts. So let's have a look at the chat. So Goblin Crusher, you already know you're doing better than me. I believe you put your ranking in there somewhere for the FPL Today League. 151st is better than 199th. Sazank C, we got the same points in Game Week 2. So yeah, we both suffered there. And we already have questions. So I noticed 2 questions, so I'll get straight into it before I do any plugging of my channel and all that kind of stuff. So far, Kevin De Bruyne has been a disappointment. He played deeper than I'd like in certain parts of the 2 games I watched Manchester City play, and I had the fortune to watch both of the games in pretty much live, and I wasn't happy with Kevin De Bruyne, so I'm thinking of transferring him out. If you watch my team for Game Week 3 video, you can see the 3 players that I want to transfer out to: Mkhitaryan, Pogba or Christian Eriksen. As for Harry Kane, I'm giving him 1 more week. He's still had the most attempts on goal in the Premier League. He's hit the post twice. He will score, just it may not be in August. But yeah, I could lose value with Kane, which is disappointing. Took a hit to get Ali in for KDB and Trippier in for Daniels. Then I hear Spurs are signing Aurier. The thing is, Spurs take a while over their transfer business, and they kind of almost leave it to the last minute so they get a cheaper deal. So I think Trippier should be okay for Game Week 3, mate. Thank you, Desire Charija. Probably said that wrong. I'm glad my videos are helping you. '95th in the FPL Today League for Ken Briggs. Well done, mate. Seb Hodson picked Riyad Mahrez. Great pick for you there, fella. Chris Conway, I appreciate the sentiment, mate. Yeah, unfortunately, because of what's happened, I've struggled to go live and struggled to get the usual amount of videos up. So things have slowed down. Next week, for those that didn't know, someone passed away in my family. Next week is the funeral, so there may be less videos next week. But right now, my daughter's in bed, my wife's out playing bingo. I'm home alone, kind of. So what else would I do but stream? MN Conde says Salah starts in the Champions League tonight, which worries me because Salah didn't start in Game Week 2, which cost me points. He came on as a sub, so he didn't score very highly for me. So Mane, Carl Wright, would be the safer pick by the seams of it. It looks like Klopp won't risk Mane, whereas he will take Salah off and rotate him. So I'd say Mane is the most nailed on pick at the moment, but we could be surprised in Game Week 3 he may reverse it and play Salah and not Mane. Am I confident Kane will break his August curse? Cursed? Curse. That's a difficult one. I want to say yes, but I've been saying he will score in August for the first 2 game weeks, and I've been proven wrong. He's got the chances, so it wouldn't surprise me if he scored 2 or 3 against Burnley. However, he had the chances and didn't score in the last 2 game weeks, so he could do it again in Game Week 3. Then it's September, then he'd probably start scoring. Moreno is playing very well. Problem is, left back has too many options for Klopp to rotate if you're talking about Alberto, so I wouldn't risk the left back or right back berth in that Liverpool side. M.A. Conde, if you watch my Game Week 3 team video, all 3 of those players you just mentioned, Eriksen, Pogba and Mkhitaryan, I'm thinking of transferring in for Salah or De Bruyne. So no, I'm not confident in my midfield. The thing about my team that I'm most worried about is my midfield. Davies and Bertrand are starters. Let me see if I can actually get the team better in the window for you. There. Okay, so I've already gone over this in my Game Week 3 team video, but just for those that haven't seen it, I'm happy with Foster. I'm happy with my front 3. The defence, Danilo's questionable, but with Kyle Walker's red card, I'm happy with my defence to a certain extent. Not over the moon, but I'm happy. My midfield is where I'm struggling. Willian looks like the most nailed on, and Hazard is coming back into first team training. Salah, De Bruyne, Ward-Prowse, not confident in. De Bruyne will start. I just don't feel like he's going to get the assists. And probably when I transfer him out, he'll get the assists. Ward-Prowse is a game-time risk, as is Salah. And Willian could be now. So no, I'm not confident in that team at all. Or at least the midfield. It did amazing in Game Week 1, just for the record. Not so good in Game Week 2. What do you think about Hegazi from West Brom? All depends on if Johnny Evans leaves. If Johnny Evans leaves, then Hegazi should be a good option. Yeah, I believe Firmino is likely to start, but I'd say Mane is the better option out of those two, despite the fact he costs $1 million more. 5.5 million defender, other than Bertrand and Dawson, Trippier. I mean, you've got Davies on the other side. Danny Rose is still injured, as far as I'm aware. Any other decent 5.5 defenders? Let's have a look. Defence, 5.5. So you've got Maguire, looked really good for Leicester. So if Leicester's fixtures aren't too bad, then he could be an option. Maybe not in the next 2 game weeks, though. I mean, Jones looks like he could have a run in the Man United team at the moment. Should be getting points. Blind seems like a popular option for Jose Mourinho at the moment. I mean, you've got the Everton defence, but they've got tough fixtures. Stones looks pretty nailed on. But yeah, to be honest, I would be looking at Jones or Blind, because that Man United defence looked very solid if you're looking to replace a defender. Smart took a hit for Collis, Ramsey and Jesus to bring in Cedric, Richarlison and Kane. What do you think? For me, personally, I think it's too early to be taking big hits, purely because one game week doesn't make a player. You want a player that's consistent, hence why I've not made any drastic changes to this team, even though I'm not happy with it at all. But I just don't think you need to be making drastic decisions this early. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Am I getting Kane out if he doesn't score this week? Ricky Lid, I will get him out if he doesn't score and he looks like he wasn't going to score no matter what. And let me explain. I feel like any other day, Kane would have scored against Newcastle, and had the dice rolled in his favour, he could have scored against Chelsea. If he still has a good amount of chances against Burnley, we'll see, because apart from Lukaku, who's the best option other than Kane? Jesus and Aguero didn't score over the weekend. Lacazette didn't score over the weekend. Morata didn't look very good against Tottenham Hotspurs. Who else is there? Up front for Liverpool, Firmino. Again, they only scored 1 in Game Week 2, so unless you're suddenly planning on having 2 cheaper strikers and spending more in midfield, I prefer having 2 big hitters, and I still think Kane will be one of the big hitters for the season. Seb, I hope he plays Salah. I really do hope he plays Salah, because I think De Bruyne is the one I'm taking out of my side. Hi Red Jack, how you doing, my man? Ken Briggs, I always avoid the highest priced player in each category though, can be risky. See, the price doesn't worry me too much, because Sanchez was the most expensive midfielder last season and he came through with the most amount of points. So I'm not too bothered about expensive players if I think they're showing the form that they're going to score goals. As soon as Kane doesn't look like a goal threat, he will be out the side. But he looked like a goal threat to me. Should I transfer out Morata? I wouldn't say yes straight away, because he looked good against Burnley, despite the fact they lost. He looked bad against Spurs, because they were expecting him to do hold-up play, long balls up to him, and he hold up the ball, and he didn't look like he was ready for that. He wouldn't have had to have done that at Real Madrid and Juventus. So the fact that he had to do that at Chelsea against Spurs, because it's a competitive league, I don't think he was ready for the type of tactics that Conte was expecting of him. So I still need to see more from Morata, but I don't think the last game week was the be-all and end-all of him. Should I keep Dwight Gale? Newcastle got fixtures but haven't actually seen him play in the first 2 game weeks. So could you please tell me how he got on? From what I've seen, I watched some of the Spurs game and I watched quite a bit of the Huddersfield-Newcastle game. That Newcastle side worries me as a whole. I know I've got Mbemba on my bench, but they don't look like a team, like a good squad. The morale seems low. Rafa Benitez doesn't seem happy. So I personally don't think Dwight Gale is the best option. I think there's cheaper strikers or similar price strikers at other clubs that are more likely to do well this part of the season. Of course, it could turn around, but at the moment, the only player that looked good to me in that Newcastle side was probably Christian Atsu, and he seemed to be the only one that really stood out to me. Matt Ritchie had some moments, but other than that, I wouldn't be touching a Newcastle player at the moment. Master KPM, De Bruyne out. I wouldn't blame you. I'm thinking of taking him out. I feel like Eriksen, Ali, Mkhitaryan and Pogba are all better options that are cheaper than De Bruyne at the moment. So I'm worried about my De Bruyne pick. So yeah, my gut feeling is De Bruyne out. Hegazi, everyone's asking about Hegazi. West Brom defenders are never a bad option. They always seem to have goal threat. He's gone up to 4.7 million though now, so he's going to be more expensive. It depends if Johnny Evans leaves. If Johnny Evans leaves, and I've already said this in the video, then maybe. You have to look at it like this. Johnny Evans and McCauley seemed pretty nailed on in that defence last year. Johnny Evans is a good player. Man City are interested in him, however. Hegazi may not be nailed on when Johnny Evans is available. Thoughts on a 3-5-2 formation? Oh, why can't I read that question? I've got a silly button in the... it's because I've got a lot more comments. Man, it's been a long time since I've streamed. As long as you get the right big hitting midfielders for a 3-5-2, it can work. Right now, Lukaku seems like the only striker you really need in your side. So 3-5-2 could definitely work. MN Conde. Lanzini could be an interesting 7 million option. I think if you're going to spend 7 million at West Ham, Javier Hernandez is the man to go to. I know it's only one game where he scored 2 goals, but he is a clinical type of striker. I got Pogba, so he's going to stop getting points now. Thanks for the heads up, Thomas. I'll get Mkhitaryan then, yeah? Chances of the top point scorers from last year repeating their performances minimal. I mean, Sanchez has done it pretty regularly. Aguero's done it regularly. Kane did it 2 years in a row. Lukaku looks like he's on form to do it. Mane was one of the best players last season. I think there are certain players that are going to be the highest point scorers, season in, season out. De Bruyne didn't actually score that high compared to the top scoring midfielders. He was a good 20 points behind some of them and a lot behind Sanchez. I thought it could be De Bruyne's year. I now think it could be Eriksen and Mkhitaryan's year. But I always feel like there's going to be one big hitter in the premium price bracket that will score the big points. There's a reason they're priced so highly. And I think I got a lot of stick last year for looking at players like Hazard and Sanchez. And they both did well when they were playing. So I'm always on the lookout for every single price bracket. But I do think there will be a premium price midfielder that does well. If Sanchez doesn't move, if he does move to Man City, it could be him. Mane could be the best performing midfielder this year. Who knows? But I don't think De Bruyne is necessary. I think Lukaku could be the best striker this year to have. But we'll see. It's only 2 game weeks in, so who knows? When do you plan to play your wildcard with that midfield then? After this game week. unless I see something different. But you know what? De Bruyne will play. So if I transfer out one of these midfielders this game week and then one next game week, that's 2 of them out already. So I'm not going to be rushed into my wildcard just because I don't like the look of my midfield. Thank you, Craig Manuel, about the message for the family. Mane or Salah? I'd go Mane because he seems more nailed on. Will Hernandez be a good choice throughout the season? I think he will. I think he's got the pedigree to score. Moy looked very good, Joseph Wilson. He looks composed. He looks like he's having fun in Huddersfield, so he could be a great shout. Richarlison, I've just seen one game with him playing properly, so I'm not going to make judgment on him yet, but he did look promising. But Watford players have looked promising before and let us down. Time to take KDB out. I've already mentioned that. I believe it could be time to take KDB out. Smart, I feel like Kane will score against Burnley. A lot of questions about KDB. I'll say it one more time and then unfortunately, if someone else asks, feel free to update him. I am probably dropping KDB. I think it's time to get rid of him. I don't believe in curses, Alex Aitken. Thank you, Anise Daniel. Hit the like button, guys, if you're watching this stream. It helps me out. If it's linked to your Twitter, it will also share it on Twitter. Why do I not have one United midfielder? Because I like to start the season covering as many top teams as possible, because you never know which top team will do the best. I had Lukaku. I saw the West Ham game. I was impressed. But I had an issue with my defence because I knew Danilo might not be playing. So I transferred a defender in for Game Week 2. That is why I don't have a Man United midfielder. I am considering swapping out De Bruyne for a Man United midfielder. But I don't jump on one Game Week performance. I need to see at least 2. So hence why I didn't bring the Man United fielder after Game Week 1. And I had a very good Game Week 1 despite Man United's result. Thank you, Sean Harvey. Goblin Crushers bought in Richarlison. Richarlison could be really good. I'm not saying he won't be. Jeff and Maria here in the chat. Thank you guys for the message. A lot of questions about De Bruyne and the midfielders. Man United, Eriksen. I've already answered that question. De Bruyne is probably going, and the 3 best midfielders in the league, one of them will probably be coming in. Smart says Vardy to Chelsea is a done deal, apparently. That could be very promising if that is the case, because he's a proven striker in the league. And also, that gives you Chelsea coverage at quite a cheap price. Will Newcastle finally score? Anyone can score against West Ham's defence, mate. Wildcard most likely after this game week's done. I think Hernandez will be the best striker by the end of the season. Sorry I'm rushing through these questions, but there's a lot of them. 61 people watching right now. Watford will be this year's Bournemouth. Again, definitely possible. I just feel like it's a bit early to make those kind of assumptions. The Poor King, KDB out for Eriksen sounds like a good shout. Man City coverage if KDB gets transferred out. I mean, I've got Danilo. Look, the problem with that side is I really don't see a midfielder that's going to stand out this year at the moment. So it could possibly be that I bring in Dele Alli and Eriksen so I can bring in someone like Jesus or Aguero, but I'm quite happy not having anyone from one of the top 6 if I don't think they're going to do that well. I went through a lot of last season without a Chelsea player or a Chelsea midfielder because I had Alonso. So maybe Kyle Walker does well enough this year that I can just have him as Man City coverage. Lukaku will probably be my captain just because he's got the form. If I'm feeling brave, maybe I'll go for Kane. Who will be back first? Sanchez, Hazard or Coutinho? Coutinho's a bit of a saga, so who knows? Sanchez and Hazard both could make appearances this game week. Should I sell Vardy for Chicharito? Only if you have another move that you're expecting to use that million for. Otherwise, I wouldn't say there's any rush to make that decision yet. Kane captain game week 3. It's a brave man that does that. Harry Kane is a 3-season wonder by Sir Chris. I like that. I wonder how many years we'll ever get to with Harry Kane. Morata out. I wouldn't have Morata on my side at the moment. Have a poll on KDB. I could do that in future videos, put polls out. Should I go Eriksen and Ali in your team? I think if you're not going to have Kane, then yeah, Eriksen and Ali double up in your midfield. But at the moment, Mkhitaryan and Pogba double up might be more beneficial for you. MN Conde thinks I should hold on to KDB. We'll see. I don't like to make my decision until I know a bit more about the sides. For instance, if Salah gets injured tonight, I know I need to take Salah out so I can bring in someone for Salah, like a Man United midfielder. I would take De Gea out for an outfield United player purely because De Gea is unlikely to get save points or lots of them, and also if they keep playing this way, that he's unlikely to get bonus points. There'll be other goalkeepers that will get save and bonus points on top of clean sheets, so I'd say yes. Think about a United player over De Gea. James Tucker talking about early wildcard being a risk so early. It is always a risk to use your wildcard because stuff could change. The reason I like to use it early is because then we have a bit more data to go on and we know who's likely to be a more important cog in the team and is more likely to stay involved in the side no matter what fixture it is. So I personally think early wildcard means you may maximise your points more. That's not always the case. You could wildcard and get it wrong, but a lot of big players wildcard early because then we know, for instance, Danilo is a rotation risk. We now know Salah is a rotation risk. Yes, there are players that come in. There's also the transfer window to come to finish. However, if you play it during international break, you have almost 2 weeks to mess about with your side and get things ready. And if Sanchez does really well, it's 1 transfer to bring him in. Maybe 2 if you don't have a heavy hitting midfielder. But you could use it after rotation later on in the season and then still see rotation when it comes to Christmas. Rotation is always a risk, no matter what part of the season. Boni Saha, I apologise, it's taken me so long to actually stream again. Just life's been getting in the way. David Silva is one of those players, Seb, that never seems to have a great season throughout the entirety of the season. MN Conde, Lacazette did have a goal incorrectly ruled out in my eyes. I just don't know if Lacazette's going to be the main point scorer in that Arsenal side, and they didn't look great for me personally. So Lacazette seems quite an expensive option when I feel like Kane and Lukaku are going to score more points. Brighton do look decent, so do Huddersfield, but it could be the early start to the season that they're just enjoying themselves, and then they could start to fall by the wayside. Willian over Phillips, I'd say so. West Brom don't look like scoring many goals in the league. They look like they'll score one and then go defensive. Firmino or Chicharito with money not being a factor. Firmino's in a better side, so I'd go with Firmino. Will Salah even start? I've already mentioned it. I'm not happy with that midfield, so I'm fully aware Salah might not start. So who knows what I'm going to do with that midfield. I just don't know yet. But I'll be transferring someone in that midfield out, so it could be Salah. KDB will get rotated once Champions League starts. I actually think KDB is less likely to get rotated than players like Sane, Sterling, Silva. So for me, KDB played a lot of games last season. But everyone's at risk when the Champions League starts. I transferred out injured Zaha for Richardson. Good or bad move? I'm not sure which Richardson you're talking about, Alex. If you could clarify that for me. I would never double up on two teams, Jeff, because if both Man United and Spurs suddenly have a bad game week, you're having a really bad game week. So double up on one or the other. I wouldn't say doubling up, say, a striker in a midfield is too bad if you're confident in the side, but having all of your midfield be in two teams pretty much, I think it's a bit risky. Good goalkeeper. Foster's been good for me. He's not even been really making many saves, but Foster's been getting me clean sheets. Better strike force, Chicharito, Lukaku, Aguero, or Firmino, Lukaku, Lacazette. I'd go Chicharito, Lukaku, Aguero, just because Lacazette looks good, but it's only 2 games in. Okay, let me correct myself with the Lacazette goal. It was offside. I don't think the linesman could see that. So I don't think he was confident it was offside, so I feel like he shouldn't have called it offside. Now, yes, he may have very well seen it. I just think the way that goal happened, I think it's very unlikely someone would spot that. But that's just my opinion. Ken Briggs, the only way to avoid rotation is choose players from sides not competing in Europe. The problem is the really good players that score big points all play for those sides. If you look at last year's top scorers, who isn't playing in the Champions League? You've got Lacazette, I suppose, but he wasn't the top scorer last year. Sanchez, they're in Europa. I doubt Sanchez will be risked in Europa. At least I'm assuming he won't be. Everton might take the Euro Cup seriously, so Sigurdsson might be playing in Europe. So you don't really have many of the big point scorers that don't play in Europe. My wildcard isn't currently active. I would say Bertrand is more nailed on. Daniel McCafferty. Best midfielder for 9 million. If Coutinho stays at Liverpool and wants to play there, I'd still give it to Coutinho. But best midfielder at 9 million right now, I would say Salah, but I'm worried about his game time at the moment. I mean, either of Mkhitaryan and Pogba would be a good choice right now. But if you're looking for someone right on the 9 million mark, Salah looks like the only option right now. I wouldn't go with anyone else apart from Mkhitaryan and Pogba. Zen Irwin, that choice all depends on if Kane scores. If Kane scores, it's a genius move. If Kane doesn't score, you should have stuck with Lukaku. It's either a ballsy move that goes right or a ballsy move that goes wrong. I personally think it's a bit early to jump on anyone's hype train that doesn't have a lot of game time in the Premiership. Yes, Richarlison looked amazing. I don't know if it's worth taking a risk on him just yet after 1 or 2 full games. My wildcard isn't active right now, no. What is my best midfield composition? Right now, I would say have one of Eriksen and Ali. Then have De Bruyne. No, not De Bruyne. Mkhitaryan and Pogba. And this is just looking at the stats off of 2 game weeks. Then Willian does give you Chelsea coverage. But a Southampton midfielder could be getting you points. Tadic, Redmond. So you could change your pick for that 4th midfielder. And then as far as cheap midfielders go, Tom Carroll got an assist in the whatever the Carling Cup's called nowadays. And Aaron Moy looks impressive. So, but that's your 5th midfielder. So if you're playing a 3-4-3, it's not important. If you're playing a 3-5-2, it's a bit more important. But that would be how I build my midfield. Is Pogba worth it because he might not continue scoring? The thing that makes me feel like Pogba will at least continue to get points is his underlying stats look very good compared to last year, this time last year. I don't think he's going to keep scoring as many as he currently is, but I do believe he will keep scoring and getting assists. Mkhitaryan plays a lot more advanced though, which is why I may go Mkhitaryan. I think he is going to be very, very important for Man United this season. I would get rid of Richie. Another person thinks Mane is the safest choice at Liverpool. Salah, Sigurdsson or Willian. I haven't seen Sigurdsson at Everton, but Willian and Salah look like game time risks, so maybe Sigurdsson. I'm captaining Lukaku, or at least I'm pretty confident I will be. Bertrand or Cedric. I think Bertrand will actually has created a lot of chances to start this season, but Cedric's 0.5 million cheaper, so I think I'd go with Cedric. I don't think there'll be that big a points difference between them to warrant the extra 0.5 million. Ramsey has looked good. He's been getting into the box late and getting chances, so I do like the look of Ramsey. Advice on what defender to bring in. Depends on your price range. I'd say a wing back at Spurs is better than Toby Alderweireld though. If Messi goes to Man City, the game will be broken. The website will crash. See you later, Ken Briggs. Enjoy Radio 5 Live. Jesus. The problem with Jesus, although he looked very good in Gameweek 1, is he could share the goals with Aguero. I would always, if I had Lukaku, Pogba and Eriksen, this point of the season, I would go with the one that is picked most as captain, and it's most likely to be Lukaku. But Pogba could be a great shout. Yep, Jeff, I'm fully aware of the Salah situation. Thank you, Riyad Rahman. I've seen the legend comment. MNA Conde coming in with the stats. Özil does create loads of chances. The issue is, I believe he's always creating the most chances in a season. It's whether the people around him put him away. The reason I think Eriksen could be a better pick than Özil is, one, he's more likely to score a goal. Two, Dele Alli and Kane are very likely to put chances away for him. Lacazette could make Özil a great option, but Özil can disappear in games as well. I'd select Mane out of Mane and Salah. Jamie Dunn thinks Salah will start. Thoughts on Chicharito? Chicharito is a legend, or Chicharito, or however you meant to say it. I'm going to transfer in Lukaku for Kane. Good move. It's way too early for me to make that shout. Kane has had more chances than Lukaku, just Lukaku has put his chances away. So that could easily change. Kane could have a great game against Burnley. I personally don't think Mkhitaryan will be a rotation player this season. If anything, it looks like Martial and Rashford will be the rotation pair. But that's my take on the first two games. The way Mkhitaryan has played in these games, I don't think you can rest him. I think he's the creative hub of that Man United team. I think Chicharito, if West Ham have a decent season, will score the majority of goals for West Ham. So Chicharito could definitely outscore Firmino. Firmino will share points with all the other Liverpool players. Ali or Eriksen, I'm leaning towards Eriksen. Eriksen's looked very sharp at the start of this season. I'm now leaning towards Alonso also being worth it, because just 2 goals in a game, both good goals. One, a really good free kick. The other, he gets in the box and drives it in low. Best 3-man defence. If you can get Alonso in there, I'd get Alonso in there. Hazard could play this game week, but more likely come on as a sub if he does. But best 3-man defence, Alonso, a Man United defender and a Spurs defender. I wouldn't take points hits, because right now a point hit is a massive drop in ranking. A bit later in the season you can make points hit and it doesn't affect your ranking too much. At the moment, David Silva for me, but Bernardo may be slowly feeling his way into the team at the moment. Pogba or Bailly? Definitely Pogba. Thoughts about Wijnaldum Spurs? Are you saying Wijnaldum might be going Spurs? Ali or Mane? I think Ali, less players to share the points with, maybe. But I'm not sure on that. Both are great players. The thing with Pogba is it's 2 games he's been trustworthy in. He plays deeper. He's got into the box less. Yes, he's done very well in the first 2 game weeks to put his chances away and make assists. He seems more of a yellow card magnet. He seems more likely to lose his temper. He seems more likely to go missing in a game at the moment to me. And because of his deeper position, I'm not sure he will always keep up this point scoring record that he's got going for him. But that's my take on it. Watford centre-backs could be good choices. Holebas was a decent choice last season, getting some assists. Aguero isn't scoring me points. Do I get rid of him? I'd say yes, because he doesn't stand out in underlying stats. Someone like Kane is clearly beating people in underlying stats, whereas Aguero isn't, so potentially take Aguero out. I'd definitely consider a Watford defender. The only problem is I don't know which one's the best choice at the moment. Wildcard will most likely be used during the international break. Swap Kane with Lacazette. Not off of 2 game weeks. I know I could be waiting too long, but I'm sticking 1 more game week on Kane at least. Will Emre Can start against Arsenal? I have no idea at all. As far as De Gea, you need him for the long term. I disagree purely because the majority of top-ranked players for the last 2 or 3 seasons don't go near £5.5 million goalkeepers. We find a cheap goalkeeper that gets a decent amount of saves as well as clean sheets. Tom Heaton last year was a much better option than David De Gea. I personally am not one to play premium-priced goalkeepers. I just won't do it. But that's the way I play. Jeff Holt is 3rd in the FPL Today League. Can we have some thumbs up in the chat for Jeff Holt? Great start to the season, mate. Thoughts on Chris Wood? I don't know much about him, to be fair. I took a hit to get KDB out for Eriksen. Again, I'm not a fan of hits so early in the season, but I don't have a problem with that transfer. If I want Mane, get him in before his price increases. I personally don't worry too much about price increases because I'm more concerned about getting good points. Foster will run out of luck. Lots of people said that about Tom Heaton. I would rather spend more of my money further up the pitch and try and find the keeper that will get the most saves. That could be someone like Jordan Pickford. So I'll quite happily spend $5 million on a goalkeeper, but De Gea won't be the top scoring keeper in the league this year, especially with the defence that's in front of him. Silva or Pogba? I'd say Pogba. I've not been. You've been watching the Liverpool game, Chaos. It seems like it's been pretty exciting, to be fair. Goblin Crusher, the thing is, which one's going to score more goals, if any of them are, or get assists, as far as the Watford defenders? Would I swap Gabbiadini for Chicharito? Not yet, purely because the fixtures. I personally think Southampton have better fixtures at the moment. Will Wijnaldum start regularly for Spurs? Has Wijnaldum moved and I've just not been made aware of it? Alex Aitken, if you use your wildcard, you have until the deadline to make any transfer that you want to use. You don't have to do it all in one go. Nathan Aki looks like a bonus point magnet at the moment, but Mkhitaryan, that's another reason I was looking at Mkhitaryan over Pogba. Mkhitaryan looks like he's more likely to get bonus points, but it's still early days. Alonso scored goals with Hazard in the team, Shaz B, as far as I'm aware, last year, so I wouldn't say it would affect him too much. Adam Soiler is top of my league. Well done, mate. We might have a look at that in a sec, trying to catch up with the chat. Kane or Aguero? I'm going Kane. De Bruyne or Mane? Mane. Phil Jones or Kolasinac? I'd go Kolasinac for the goal threat. Best replacement for Firmino at 8 to 9 million. There isn't really strikers around that price range that I would go for. I'd either go for a cheaper striker around 7 million or up to a better player. Or sorry, a more expensive player, not necessarily a better player. Trippier looks like he might miss Game Week 3. There's something about a knock he may have got in the Chelsea game. Ward-Prowse I'd get out of the team until he looks more game time secure. You can still join the league whatever time you want, as long as you built your team before the game week, before the deadline of Game Week 1. You should have the same amount of points as everyone else. Quickly get the league code up for you all. So that's the league code there, 812441. And while we are here, he wanted it, so we shall give it to him. Adam Soiler is top of the league, got Ben Foster in goal. Maguire got you a lot of points. David Luiz playing in midfield the last game would have got you some decent points. Eriksen, Mane, Pogba, Lukaku, Chicharito. You had an awesome game week 2. 85 points. Well played, mate. Well played. Butland on your bench with 11. If you had put Butland instead of Foster, you'd have had an even better game week. So well done, mate. Well played, sir. Mickey and Ericsson versus KDB and Salah. I'd go with Mickey and Ericsson. Goblin Crusher, I agree. Aki looks like a bonus point magnet. How many points did I get last week? 37. Don't ask that question again, please. The plus side of doing it during a game, international game week, is you can then make whatever transfer you need because of injuries. But there's pluses and minuses to how to use the wild card. It's all about which ones you think are more important. Thank you, Annalisa. Would Jesse be a good option in the mids? It's only been one game, but he did look very good in that game. What's up, Tom Cameron? I would say De Bruyne is expendable at the moment, the way things are going. Look, if Mooney is your cheap striker, then I see no reason to swap him at the moment. He's looked good. How many points have I got overall? I got 87 in the first game week, so I've got 120... No, that's the wrong... 124 overall, which puts me at an overall rank of 609,389th. Look, if I'm happy with my team after game week 3, I won't play my wild card if I'm confident that I don't need to. Another reason for playing your wild card early is you can try and boost your team value because it's 2 weeks of people making transfers. So potentially you can get players that will rise 0.2 of a million in price. And if you pick 11 of them, that's 11 times 0.1 million, because when you sell a player, you only get half of their price rise. So you could raise your team value by 1.1 million if you play the international game week correctly. Should I drop De Bruyne for Ali? I would drop De Bruyne for someone. I'm definitely considering it. I've not made my transfer yet. I'll wait until Friday usually for my transfer. So Hampton defence double up. It works really well if the game goes the correct way. Their first game week, lots of people doubled up and it went really well. If you doubled up this game week, it sucked for you. So I don't like doubling up in defence because it can so easily go wrong unless they are £4.5 million options. McGregor or Mayweather, not really an FPL question, but if Mayweather doesn't win, then his legacy is destroyed. So Mayweather should win, it's his sport. I think unless Mayweather knocks McGregor out, McGregor still wins. If McGregor stays in there for 12 rounds with a professional boxer, the best professional boxer in the world, then he's already proven himself. Like, what more can you expect, really? If he knocks Mayweather out, Mayweather's finished. And I think it really hurts boxing unless Mayweather knocks McGregor out. Who do I think will win the league at the moment? It's still so early to say. I feel like Man United, just because Mourinho wins in his second season, it's not even to do with their form because their 2 games have been against Swansea and West Ham. So, you know. If you join the league today, you won't be on the table until next game week. Best alternate for Walker. Maybe Kolasinac when the Arsenal defenders get back. Granit Xhaka versus Tom Carroll. I'd go with Tom Carroll. He looks quite important to that Swansea side. Shazby, your hits will be erased if you use the wild card after you've taken hits. I mean, average points, it changes every year. If you want to be in the top 1% of players, you need to be getting over an entire season over 2,000 points at least. I think last year I got 2,200, and that just got me outside the top 10k. Thoughts on doubling up West Brom? Again, it's a bit early to double up on any team, but it wouldn't be West Brom I'd double up on just because they don't look like going to score many goals. And if you mean defence, again, it's only 2 games where they've got clean sheets. Best substitute for Kyle Walker? I think I've already mentioned Kolasinac. Moses, I think, could be a good option. Chicharito is definitely a good option, or Chikorito, however you say it. 4.5 million defender with attacking potential. Not that I've seen yet. Which team do I support? AFC Wimbledon. Not even in the Premier League, mate. At Lacazette's price range, there isn't many options. It looks like you'd be going for a cheaper player. For my wildcard, I have no idea. My midfield would probably change very drastically, though. I mean, the way I've looked at Swansea's team... Oh, we've got a new subscriber to the family. Manish Fapper, thank you so much for joining the FPL Today family. Someone suggested I called everyone that joined and subscribed a birdie because it's 1 under par, because my name's similar to a golfing term. So if you like that, put it in the comments down below. I can change it. Tripled up on Southampton because they have good fixtures. That's the only reason. I was hoping they had a blinding start to the season. But as you can see, it's in different positions. So when Southampton didn't score but did get a clean sheet, I got points. When Gabbiadini scored but Southampton didn't get a clean sheet, I got points. That was the reason behind that. Jeff Holt wants a shout out for her wife, who is 110th in my league at the moment in her first season. It's a great start by Jeff Holt's wife there. Maria, isn't it? What the fuck do I do with Danilo? Carl Walker was sent off, so Danilo should play game week 3. I always plan to bring in anyone that hits the ground running if I have faith in him, and Alexis Sanchez is one of those. Jackson Yates, Kolasinac isn't much of an attacking threat as he's playing LCB. He still seems to be getting in the box. He seems to have a habit of getting forward, a bit like Maguire was running quite far forward for Leicester, and he's a defender. Do a practice wildcard now. I can quickly do that if I ever catch up with the chat. If Coutinho stays, Salah out, I'd have more faith in Coutinho, yes. JNO is a Hammers fan. I follow West Ham. Unfortunately for me. Is Calvert-Lewin a regular starter? It looks like Koeman has faith in Calvert-Lewin this year, so he could be a great shout. Danilo was good when he was on the pitch. I'll be honest, in the first game of the season, I was fed up of him cutting back when he could have crossed with his left if he had any left foot. Tom Carroll and Ward Prowse. Yeah, when I get subscribers, I do lose my track of thought. Tom Carroll seems more important to Swansea than Ward Prowse seems to Southampton, so I would go Tom Carroll. Blind or Jones? Blind, if he starts, seems to be likely to get assists, so I'll go with Blind. Max points record in a game week in FPL. I think last season I got over 150 points in a game week. Oh, we've got someone from Canada. I'd love to live in Canada. It seems like a great country. Am I going to play my wildcard this international break? Quite possibly. Thank you, mate. Wife Chuff, do you remember their name? No problem, Maria. There was no doubt in my mind that I knew what your name was. I might do my wildcard live on stream as well. So if I did that, it probably would be Wednesday again, Wednesday evening. So we'll see if that's possible. Ward-Prowse is a risk. I'm fully aware of that. When's international break? It's after game week 3. League code is 812441. Have I remembered that correctly? I should get it written on my screen, shouldn't I? 812441. There you have it. Midfielder for 6 million. Should I get Alexis Sanchez when he returns? Not straight away, I wouldn't. Why not Chicharito? I like Chicharito. I think he could be a great shout. Chicharito could score well this weekend. I just don't know if one fixture is enough to jump on a player. I would captain Chicharito out of those options, Ashley, but I don't like any of those options, to be honest. Alright, Dara Smith, how you doing? Gabbiadini or Chicharito? Just for the fixtures, I'm sticking with Gabbiadini. MN Conde, you have until the deadline to keep changing. So I could bring in, say, Christian Eriksen. He could get injured. I can take him out and it doesn't affect me. So as long as I stay on top of it, I should be okay. Jamie Dunn, I hate international break as well, to be fair. Pogba on Mickey, I'm looking at Mkhitaryan. He's playing further forward. I think his points return is more likely to continue, and he seems like more of a bonus point magnet. There was a question further up that I missed. Midfielder for 6 million. Let's have a look, see. Midfield 5.9ish. No, we should go up to 6.4. I mean, Moyes looked good. A lot of people were jumping on Richarlison. We have Dan Manison Theory. Apologies for butchering the name, but just a new subscriber to the family, a possible birdie. Jesse looks like he could be a good shout. 10 points in his first game week. I always like Albrighton. He quietly returns points. Tom Ince has looked decent. Kapue managed to get on the score sheet despite not playing much. Cleverly looks important to that Watford side. Goblin Crusher should be in the chat. He might have more to say on Cleverly. So those are the options I'll be looking at in that price range. Ashley Lacazette, isn't it? Alexandra Lacazette. But I'm bad with names myself. I wouldn't captain him yet. I don't have the faith in him to captain him, Lacazette. I wouldn't take a hit just yet if you can help it. Are the average FPL scores high or low during the Xmas game week period? Usually they're normal because new subscriber, hello Tabiso Cello. Thank you for joining the FPL Today family. Or possible birdie again. Those game weeks generally are hard to predict because there's going to be one rotation. 2, they're very close together. 3, there isn't any double game weeks in that Christmas period. So average points isn't generally higher. General consensus in the chat, D. Summer Jones is Salah will play purely because it's an important game. Another new subscriber to the channel, Akpan Fabian Inibasi. Thank you for joining, my man. I think Coutinho will likely go. I think he's trying to force a move away to Barcelona. West Ham have good fixtures now, you're right. Man United kind of made it more difficult, but a lot of West Ham's fixtures are away still until their stadium's ready again. That, and I don't have that much faith in the West Ham side. I know I follow him, but I don't have faith in him as a fantasy Premier League manager. Sigurdsson for Mickey and take a -4. No, I'd keep Mickey, mate. Don't get rid of a Manchester United midfielder at the moment. Hesse or Richardson or Richarlison. I wouldn't be looking at either just yet, but my gut says Watford will perform better than Stoke this season, so I'd go Richarlison. Will I be taking out Harry Kane? Ben, if Harry Kane scores in Game Week 3, he's not going anywhere. Oh, Dan Man is on fire. Why could I not read that earlier? As a Watford fan, he'd pick Richarlison. Should I let go of De Bruyne and bring in Eriksen or Ali? I would, because then he can spend that 0.5 somewhere else. Decore, I'd wait a bit to see with him. The thing is, Goblin, as a centre attacking midfielder, you'd think he'd be involved somehow in the points. Is Captain Ali over Lukaku crazy? I would never say Captain Ali is crazy, but I'd say it'd be brave, Trev, to captain him over Lukaku. Striker for 5 million. Oh, there isn't really many options out there, is there? Maybe Tammy Abraham, but I think he's a bit more expensive. Ayu's looked decent from Swansea, but when Llorente comes back, who's going to play with Llorente? We have Annalise saying hello from Malta. Hello, Annalise. Thank you for joining. You've been here for a while. Didn't know you were from Malta, though. Sell Kane for Hernandez. I still have faith in Kane for just a little bit longer. Goblin Crusher thinks Decore is Watford's most important player. Is Pogba and Mickey double up a good idea? I would be willing to risk it if I had 2 transfers, because they do look good, but Everton are going to be a lot tougher to break down than West Ham and Swansea. Thank you, Evan, for appreciating me coming back on live. Another new subscriber, Sam Parks. Welcome to the FPL Today family. Is Carroll the best sub £6 million midfielder? I know in pre-season I said Carroll over Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek has looked good. He looks experienced beyond his years in that Liverpool game. So he wasn't far from getting an assist to Benteke as well. Loftus-Cheek could be competition for Carroll. One must-have player. I'd say Lukaku at the moment. Who are you bringing this week? I'm thinking Mickey, Pogba or Eriksen. I hate players that give the assisted assist, Goblin. Hate them. It looks like De Bruyne might be that kind of player this year. Aguero or Jesus? I'd say neither, because I think they might share points too much. I think it's brave to give Kane the captaincy armband, because if he doesn't score, you're just going to say to yourself in your head, it's August, why did I pick him? Eriksen or Mane? I'm leaning towards Eriksen in the moment. Must have player defence. It could be Alonso defensively. Midfield wise, I'm liking the look of Mkhitaryan, but probably I'd go with Eriksen. Forward wise, Lukaku. But again, 2 game weeks in, I will have a much stronger opinion on all of this the further we get in. I'd start Tom Carroll over Decore because I think he's more likely to get assists. Xhaka I'd get rid of. Is Riyad Mahrez a good choice? I've respected the way Riyad Mahrez has played, because he wants to leave, but he is still doing the job for Leicester. If he stays this season, I think he may continue that, and he could be a good shout. Ben Church says Wilfred Bonney is coming to Swansea, so we have to keep an eye on that. I wouldn't take a -4 Netrad B. I definitely agree, Annalisa. Silva has looked more adventurous and moving forward more than KDB, and it was the other way around last season, which disappoints me because KDB is a much better finisher. Should I wait until Christmas to play your Wildcard? I wouldn't wait that long, because it just seems like you've wasted too much time to play it, and then you might have missed some really good moves you could have made with an earlier wildcard. I'm looking to wildcard maybe next week, but it's not nailed on. I support FC Wimbledon, I follow West Ham. If you really want to, Dan Man is on fire. We did have a session during pre-season where people unsubscribed just to subscribe again, just to see their name come up. Maybe not too many of you do it though, you might overtake the stream. There are some draft leagues I did. I'm not a fan of the draft. Maybe it's because I did it with too many people, but I prefer the normal game mode. Man City cover-up. I'd say you do need it. I just don't know who the right player is at the moment. Salah or De Bruyne will come out because I don't have spare money in the bank. So if we actually look at the team, only those two would allow me to bring in the players I'm looking at. I'd say Carroll is the better option. Chaos. I think FPL would be better if I could see into the future. Be a lot better. A lot of people would score high points though. Ericsson and Kolasinac or De Bruyne and Davies? I'd say Ericsson and Kolasinac at the moment. Lukaku and Firmino as a pair, that's a good shout. Maguire and Keane, good options. I'd say both are great defenders, moved to better clubs, so yes, they could be. Midfielder for 6 million, we've already looked. We were looking at Moy, Richarlison, Decore, Hesse, Kachunga. We've got all Brighton quietly scoring points. Again, I would try to avoid points hits this early in the season. I am a proponent of the early wildcard, but I wouldn't do it before Game Week 3. Because that way you can also see the deadline day transfers as well. I'm 199th in my own league, Harvey Roach. Thanks for asking. I love that question. We have a new subscriber, Karoza, has joined the FPL Today family. Thank you very much, my man. I'm getting bunged up for some reason. Jesse or Zaka? Definitely Jesse. Alexander-Arnold has looked good, but I wouldn't touch a Liverpool defender. DMFLPL tips, I'll have a look at that in a second for you. Walker may get picked, but he's a bit expensive for me. Later on in the season, I should have more team value and then be able to bring in more expensive defenders. If you're taking Bellerin out, that's a premium price defender, so you might be able to get someone like Walker in. I'm unlikely to keep James Ward-Prowse. I wouldn't say he's looked that bad, but he's also not a guaranteed starter. I might stay clear of City at the moment. I would transfer to Mkhitaryan. Another subscriber, Ines Henderson. Thank you so much for joining. The draft's already happened. Once the draft's happened, you can't join, unfortunately. Another new subscriber, Sub73. Thank you so much. We are almost at a record. We had one live stream pre-season that got to about 80 watchers. We're now at 83, so we're smashing it today. Jassim El Salati, thank you so much for subscribing, my man. Chicharito could definitely score more than Gabbiadini. I'm getting confused now. So many subscribers. Afro Sang Tam, thank you so much for joining the stream, my friend. Alright. I apologise if I'm missing a question, but a lot of people have asked for it. I'm going to do a little words have left my mind. A little wild card, just so you could see what I'd be thinking right now. So, I apologise if I miss anything in the chat. At the moment, I'm happy with Foster and Myhill. If we have a look at the actual fixtures, they still have favourable fixtures up until around this period where there's a cluster of difficult fixtures, but they've only got Arsenal in the first 9 fixtures. So I'm assuming Ben Foster should get some more clean sheets here. Another new subscriber, Alex Sheeran, thank you so much. This defence, the only one that I'm confident in staying would be Bertrand, but he could easily change to Cedric. I do want a Spurs defender. Ideally, I'd want a Man United defender. So Danilo could be swapped out for someone like Blind or Jones if I think Jones is going to play. I'd hopefully then get a 4.5 million defender in here somewhere. Maybe if I save 0.5 million with a move from Bertrand to Cedric. So, yeah. No one on that defence is definitely nailed on. But the one I've been most impressed with is Bertrand, and Davies. Probably still keep a Tottenham defender. Probably still have a Southampton defender, and probably get a Man United one. Just missed a new subscriber. So if I see you pop up on my iPad, I'll mention your name. Then as far as midfield goes, Carroll could change to Loftus-Cheek. The new subscriber, Sunny Omar Farouk. Thank you so much for joining the stream, my friend. Carroll or Loftus-Cheek. De Bruyne will change to someone like Ali or Ericsson. Salah could change to someone like Mickey or Pogba. That would have saved me some money, so I could probably upgrade Willian to a slightly more expensive midfielder. I'm not exactly sure who. Or potentially I could upgrade Ward-Prowse to someone like Zaha or Ramsey. Or Redmond even, if I'm still confident in the Southampton team. Or Tadic. Then up front, Lukaku probably is the one that definitely isn't going anywhere. Thank you, Mark Schneider, for joining the FPL Today family. Kane, it's all about whether he scores, because that's a very promising fixture there. Everton still possibly scores. Then look at this run here of Swansea, West Ham, Huddersfield, Bournemouth. So Kane could stay. Gabbiadini could easily change for a different £7 million striker though. I don't like spending more than 7 million there. Vokes has looked decent. Mooney's looked decent. Okazaki, if he can stay in the team, has looked good. Calvert-Lewin, 5 million. If he stays in that team, an Everton striker at 5 million could be a great shout. So, yeah, whoever asked for a 5 million striker earlier, Calvert-Lewin, Okazaki, both had a decent start. Craig Priestley, thank you so much for joining the stream. Akaka looks like a game time risk. Gray, potentially, need to see more of him. The problem with Bournemouth is we don't know who is nailed on up front. Iheanacho's dropping in price at the moment, so if he keeps dropping, that might be interesting. But yeah, I'd definitely look at the likes of Calvert-Lewin. And where's Hernandez? He's already gone up in price. Yeah, Chikorito's already gone up in price to 7.1. So if he keeps looking like that, I might go with him just to try and get that upgrade in team value. Rashford could be a good shout, but I doubt he's going to be popular with Lukaku around. Have I missed Netraj B has joined the FPL Today family. Thank you so much for joining, my friend. So yeah, there is my thoughts on what I might do with a wildcard, but that could change after Game Week 3. It's very easily done. Head-to-head leagues, I apologise, I never got round to them. I was going to do a video where I just popped up head-to-head leagues so people could join. The unfortunate part of that was I then had the loss in the family and I couldn't do anything else. So, yeah. Sorry if you just heard a beer cracked open. Unfortunately, because of the loss in the family, I didn't get round to doing that. So, apologies. No head-to-head league. I may do one, but don't really like doing them after the season started. John Lalore, thank you so much for joining the FPL Today family. We're crushing subscribers at the moment. They're all jumping in. Newly subscribed birdies. I need to know in the comments, do you like birdies as an idea for new people to the FPL Today family? Okay. If anyone's asked a question whilst I was doing my mini wildcard, feel free to ask it again. I'm now looking at the chat, so I'll answer any question asked after I've just said this. While I pour myself a drink. Yes, I have lemonade in my beer, purely because I have work tomorrow, so I don't want to get like I have done on some streams. For those that have been around for some of the streams, you'll know what I'm talking about. Albrighton, he's never going to be a massive point scorer, but he will quietly score you points. So Albrighton isn't a bad shout. There might be better options in his price range. Yeah, it's another beer I like to drink in my streams. We like to drink with J&O because J&O does live streams. He can't pour a beer though. Look at the head on that thing. Anyway, it's because I'm not focused on pouring it. I have Blin, Lukaku and Pogba. I'd be quite happy with 3 men in the in my team from Man United. Damari Gray is pushing for a starting spot. I personally think Damari Gray might leave. Adrian Beadle, couldn't you have got more points if you captained Lukaku in game week 1? Mickey would have been a decent shout as captain though. Best 4.5 million defender at the moment. Let's have a look-see. I mean, Schindler and Lowe, Huddersfield, have got 15 and 12 points. Britos has got 12 points. Burnley have looked decent defensively. Maybe Simpson and Morgan. I wouldn't touch Palace at the moment. Although they didn't look too bad against Liverpool, to be fair to them. The real Slim Shandy. Jeff, you're hilarious, man. The real Slim Shandy. Yep. Rick Powell Fender. I think they could be rotation risks. Game week 5 is a decent time to play your wild card, mate. Adrian, it'll be a good choice as long as you pick the right people. If you get the wrong choice, you're going to drop in ranking quite significantly. Thank you, Goblin Crusher, for joining the stream as always. Harish, definitely reasonable to wildcard if you're not having a good start to the season. MN Conde, my issue with that team is Hegartzi could be dropped and Willian could be dropped. But otherwise it looks pretty decent. Good substitute for Xhaka. You're looking at cheap midfielders, so I'd probably look at Loftus-Cheek or Tom Carroll and then spend money elsewhere. Who will get the most points this year? I'm putting money on Lukaku if I had to make a choice right now. I wouldn't even say Danilo's nailed on with Kyle Walker being out, but I reckon with Kyle Walker's suspension he should play. Willian will rotate with Pedro, so I'm not sure Willian's the best shout for the entire season. I don't think De Bruyne is worth 10 million either right now. He's going way too far back. Last season he didn't drop as deep. I've already mentioned De Bruyne is one I'm looking to get rid of. I don't think I'll be going silver though. I think Pogba and Mkhitaryan are better shouts than silver. No problem, Michael Foley. It's good to have hobbies, my man. I mean, while I think all of your hobbies should be watching my streams, I've not been streaming that often, so you're allowed to have something else to do. £5 million defender. I'd say Cedric is the best option there, Sangun. Rooney to score against Chelsea. He's been scoring at the moment. I wouldn't put it past him. Issa T, that is a good plan to wildcard in Game Week 6. If you have fixtures you know you want to work around. Would you get Zlatan? I think he might play second fiddle to Lukaku. so I probably wouldn't get Zlatan in. Unless they change tactics somehow. What's wrong with the Newcastle team? There seems to be a lot wrong there, mate, so I would get rid of any Newcastle players. See you later, Siraj. Look, I had a terrible start 2 years ago, and I still finished in the top 26k players, so terrible starts doesn't mean it's the end of the season. I think he'll drop Salah. I wouldn't double up on them just yet, but if they get 2 more clean sheets in a row, then I'd consider doubling up on West Brom defenders. Kane or Chicharito as captain. I'd go Kane just because he will get chances. It's just whether he puts it away. Mooney or Rodriguez, I'd go Mooney. KDB is definitely capable of making us all regret dropping him. I'm not saying KDB's a bad player. I just don't like the way he's been playing recently in that Man City side. Triple up Southampton, including keeper. It's viable with their fixtures. You're the best viewing with the exception of Game of Thrones. Did you see Game of Thrones on Monday? In fact, did you see Game of Thrones at all when any of the dragons did anything? But I won't ruin anything for anyone. I would definitely get rid of Joshua King. Bournemouth don't look the same team so far this season. Huddersfield players that are worth it. Moy looks worth it. Mooney looks worth it. So I'd definitely consider those two. My team should be on the screen right now, mate. I'm not happy with my midfield before anyone says anything. Cedric over Yoshida. 117 points isn't too bad. It means you're within touching distance of people. Basically, this part of the season, everyone's really close together. 5 points could be the difference of like 100k in rank. I'd get one of them. Oh, don't take hits yet, Michael. Don't panic, because the worst thing than watching your team not do well is making lots of changes, taking hits, and then your team still doesn't do well. Owen JH, thank you so much for joining the family. New birdie to the family. Is there a birdie emoji? Should we do a whole birdie thing whenever we get subscribers? I would keep Kane for another week because this is a fixture against Burnley at home. He could have a field day. I'd keep Lukaku at this point in the season as captain. I'd get rid of Morata. He didn't look amazing against... He looked good against Burnley, but he didn't look amazing against Tottenham Hotspurs. Morata could have a great game week, depending on who they're playing. I don't think it's too hard a fixture. I think is it Everton? So, maybe. How many points are needed to win Manager of the Month? It changes every month, mate. It all depends on how many goals are going in, what teams are getting clean sheets. Tommy plays, that sounds like a good point total. Mkhitaryan Lannister. Jeff Holt, I should literally just have a little bar where it comes up with your comments. I think Salah looks restable by Klopp. Birdie nickname was suggested by someone. I can't think of who. But someone suggested Birdie. There we go. Thomas McCarthy's found the bird. Top players generally try and avoid points hits apart from game weeks where it's necessary, like when there's blanks and when there's double game weeks. After international breaks, people quite often take points hits to make sure they have 11 players to play. How many points have I got overall? I've got 100 and something. 124 is my overall point score. Michael Foley's triple captained already. I mean, I don't mean to be a downer, but triple captain's generally best used on double game weeks, which is near the end of the season. Will Sigurdsson be worth it now or later? I'd hold back on Sigurdsson at the moment. I've already gone with Mickey as my choice. Best differential captain? I'd have to see captain polls for that. Can I quickly find one? Alright, so right now, if you picked Aguero, roughly 3% of players have Aguero as their captain, but that could easily change. Mkhitaryan 2.61, Jesus 2.43%, Ali 2.25, Hernandez 1.71, Mane 1.03. Those players are capable of big point scores. Lacazette under 1%, so Salah under 1%. So there are decent options there, but this point in the season, I'd say Kane or Lukaku are the two choices you should be looking at this point in the season. Sagoon, I'm not sure Fuchs is the best choice as a defender. KDB, I think most of us agree KDB might need to be transferred out. Hesse, Matty, Phillips or Richarlison. All two. Matty Phillips, no. Hesse and Richarlison, I don't know yet. Richarlison's had one really good game, so I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon just yet. KDB to Mane would be a good transfer. Redmond, Fur, Phillips, please choose two of them. I'd pick Redmond and Fur. Carroll over Zaka. See you later, Tommy Plays. Thanks for joining. I like Aguero, but I think Kane's a better choice. Mohamed Damandash, thank you for using my government name. I'm going to probably be playing Lukaku, to be honest. Daruv Narula. You need to think, who do you think is going to keep scoring points? Then pick one of them. I would get rid of De Gea. There's other keepers you could have at the same price as De Gea, and then you could have both of them if you really wanted. If Johnny Evans goes City, I think he's a rotation player, so I would get rid of him. But at the moment, Johnny Evans isn't playing for West Brom, so I would get rid of him now. Shaz B, good night, my friend. Thoughts on captain and Chicharito? I'd stick with Kane or Lukaku just to not fall too far behind everyone. You can always play differential captains later in the season. Redmond, Fur, Phillips, choose two of them. I think I've already answered that. Ali or Ericsson? I'd go Ericsson at the moment. You keeping Salah? Most likely not. Michael, peace out nerds. Thank you so much for that. Am I going to do FIFA 18 content? Okay, before I leave, because I need to get some sleep and I've got work tomorrow. What, if anything, do you guys want to see on this channel other than FPL? Because this channel stopped growing when I used to do stuff that wasn't FPL. I don't want it to stop growing. Last year, I was getting subscriber after subscriber, and then when the season kicked off, I started doing my other content, and it bombed, and I stopped growing, and I stuck around the same subscriber mark for a good 3, 4, 5 months. So, until I'm big enough to really expand and have enough of you watch my other videos, I don't want to push my luck, because all these people are subscribing because I'm doing Fantasy Premier League stuff. If I go and change the content, some people may look at it and go, well, that's not what I subscribed to you for. So I've considered doing football videos because it's very closely related to Fantasy Premier League. I've considered doing content where I talk about football without bringing in Fantasy Premier League stuff. And then, of course, there are football games out there, which I do play the football games that are out there. I would love to go to games a lot more, but my work doesn't always let me. So, if there's something you want to see, and if enough people ask for it, I would consider doing it. But I'm not the best FIFA player. I'm quite a good Football Manager player, but not the best in the world. But FPL is what's got me the attention and got me the growth, and I don't want to risk that by doing stuff that people may not want to see. Anyway, guys, I apologise if I've missed your question. I do need to go to sleep now. I'm just having a quick look at what people are saying about other content. Okay, I want to see FIFA. Who should I get instead of FIFA? Do Career Mode, Road to Glory, and Ultimate Team, Road to Glory. Can I stay up for the fight Saturday? I could, but I'm not sure I want to. It's really late. And there's probably no way I could stream it anyway, me reacting to the fight or watching it with you guys, because my wife would be asleep. Cheers, Jeff. Much appreciated. There is football videos of me, by the way, on my J&O channel, if you want to watch how bad I am at actual football. I could definitely try and get another FPL manager. I've had Kurt Yoy in before, but I could see who else I could get. We got another Troy Deeney comment. I'm on the bench at the moment at Watford, so, you know, injury, so I thought I'd start an FPL channel. Summer73 says I should stick to FPL. I mean, I've just changed the name of the channel to FPL today, so I feel it's risky to do other content. I could maybe do one video a week or something else. And just before we go, one more subscriber. We've got Jeruv the Ruler. So thank you so much for joining the FPL Today family. Another birdie in the flock. I can play around this when I'm off stream. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in as always. If you want to support streams like this in the future, there is a super chat button which you can use to donate some money to the channel, which will go and be spent on stuff like graphics and all that kind of stuff. There's links in the description down below of my merchandise and Patreon and other ways you can support me as well. If you want to support the channel, of course, just watching and hitting that like button is enough support. Thank you so much for a great stream tonight. Hopefully I will do this more once I've got everything sorted with my training at work, and this funeral is past next week, so hopefully we'll be back to making plenty of content for you guys. We're still growing. Right now we are currently on, let me get the figure right before I sign off. Oh wow, I don't even have it up. A slight pause in the sign off. If we look at our live sub count, we're almost at 3,790 subscribers, almost 3,788. We've gained a lot of subscribers in this stream, so thank you guys so much for the support. In fact, we're at 3,791, so almost at 3,800. So thank you guys so much. Hopefully, if possible, may stream Friday night late, depending on the wife, if she lets me. Maybe Saturday just before the games go live. Maybe do an early stream. We'll see what I can manage. But next time I should definitely be streaming. Should be Wednesday night next week. So hopefully you can all join me then. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, again, hit that like button on the video when it goes live just to help me out. Didn't get too many haters on this video, which is always nice. Now we've got our moderators in the chat. So thank you guys so much. I've been J&O, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.